All right, the Nike Metcon 6 versus the Reebok Nano 10. I've been a little reluctant to do this comparison because honestly, both of these shoes are pretty freaking solid. So let's talk about three major differences about these shoes that I think are worth noting that could potentially sway you to one option. Number one is the Nano 10 has a slightly wider midfoot to toe box. So if you are someone who likes a little bit more room up in the toes and needs a little bit more room for the midfoot, the Nano 10 I think is going to be your best bet. Now, the Metcon 6, second difference, is that it is a lot more stable in the midfoot and heel. Now, when I say stable, I don't mean that it compresses under weight, because the Nano 10 can hold its own under heavy loads. What I mean by stable is, let's call it thick with two C's. This shoe has a lot of material through the midfoot here and on the heel. You can literally hear how hard it is, and it's versatile, but it's not the most comfortable when it comes to doing more like endurance focused activities and so forth. So if you're running a lot and jumping and so forth, this shoe I think can be a little uncomfortable at times just because of all the material around here on the midfoot. Great for stability, but not the best for versatility. The third major difference about these shoes is just how they fit. If you look at the difference here, the Nano 10's heel boot comes up a lot higher than the Metcon 6. So if you like having a little bit more material that covers up on the ankle, the Nano 10 I think is going to be a good bet. Now, there is no heel slip in the Metcon 6 like previous models, so don't worry about that if you see that this material is lower. It's just a matter of preference, I think. The Nano 10 does have a little bit more beef around the heel, and it does have a little bit more of like a cup feeling around the ankle and the calcaneus and the Achilles. So if you are a fan of having, let's call it a little bit more junk in the trunk of your shoe, the Nano 10 I think is a solid bet for that. Now, before we carry on, I should address something. So this eye is really messed up, so if it looks squinted in this video, try not to draw too much attention to it. I was actually gonna wear an eye patch, but I decided against it because I didn't want to take away from these shoes. Now let's dive into price comparison, and then we'll talk about performance. Both of these shoes come out to $130 USD right now. Now, if you are trying to save on a little coin, you can look around for specials on certain colorways and so forth. Plus we have Black Friday coming, so I'm sure these shoes will probably have a little bit of a decrease. But if you are a cost-efficient shopper, look into the Metcon 5 or 4 or even the Nano 9 or 8. Both of those options are really solid from each manufacturer, and they're pretty marked down right now. So $130 USD for each shoe, no clear-cut winner. Look into older models if you want to save some coin. All right, so now let's chat on performance of these shoes, because I think that is a huge factor when it comes to potentially edging you on one direction or the other if you are on the fence. So to kind of keep this brief and not ramble, I'm gonna try to break it down in certain sections. So first, let's ask the question, which shoe is best for CrossFit workouts specifically? Now, if I had to give you my honest thoughts, I would say the Nano 10. I think the flex weave in this shoe is pretty dang great when it comes to durability, feels lightweight. Plus they revamped this toe box and the midfoot here, so it is a little bit more durable. There's no overlap with the laces. But most of all, I just like how this shoe fits and feels. It feels really good in a variety of activities. The split outsole is accommodating. The midsole is stable enough under heavy loads. And I like how it comes up on the heel a little bit more. Now, let's ask the next question. Which shoe is best for heavy lifting? I don't think you can really fault the Metcon 6 on its stability. Nike markets this as their most stable trainer, and honestly, I understand why. This thing is freaking solid. So if you want a shoe, and this goes for CrossFit athletes too, to be as solid and stable as possible, the Metcon 6 is kind of a no-brainer. You cannot go wrong with the stability in this shoe. Now, let's say you're an athlete that likes to do more of your recreational workouts where, let's say you do some warm-up running, you do more of your recreational lifting, so could include barbell, dumbbell, you could do a Metcon one day or any other functional fitness workout, and then you like to do some endurance training on the side and some agility work. Which shoe should you go for? Honestly, both work really well for that ask. Now, I would say judge your decision on one, price point, depending on if there's a sale, and two, how you like the shoe to fit. As mentioned earlier, the Metcon 10 does have a little bit more room, and I think it does fit a little bit more natural to the foot, and it feels a little bit more comfortable, I think, for longer workouts. But the Metcon 6 is, again, solid. The breathable mesh up here and the reworked outer I think is really good for just breathability purposes and so forth. And it's a little bit more lightweight when it comes to the upper material compared to the previous model. But for the athlete that is more of our recreational lifter, let's call them, both of these shoes are solid. Scale your decision on price and how you like these shoes to fit. Final question we'll ask is, which shoe is best for lighter runs and agility workouts? This is a tough one because reality is neither of these shoes are really designed for running. But if you do have shorter runs, or you do like to put in a couple miles before or after your workouts, and that is a big decider for your shoemaking decision process, I would lean towards the Nano 10. Again, the split outsole I think is pretty accommodating for allowing that toe to have a little bit of flexion. The midsole is, as you can see, kind of split throughout here, so it's nice because there is a little bit more reactivity towards the toe and the heel versus the Metcon 6. So for anybody who likes to put miles in and around their workout that isn't pushing like half marathon and marathon distances, the Nano 10 I think is going to take the edge over the Metcon 6. So those are 4 scenarios that I think these shoes could answer a certain performance ask you might have. Now, if you have any other asks specifically, drop them in the comments below. I try to be as active as possible and give you the most in-depth response I can based off of what you give me and what I think. But yeah, drop your comments below. Let's dive into the final question now. Overall size and fit and construction differences. All right, so when it comes to sizing and fit, both of these models, I would err on staying true to size. And that's very rare when it comes to a shoe comparison to not have one that runs a little bit big or a little bit small. But I think both of these shoes are pretty dang true. Now, I will say that, again, on the topic of sizing and fit, if you are somebody who likes a little bit more room in the toe box, the Nano 10 will be your best bet. However, the Metcon 6 has done a really good job, I think, at elongating the last when it comes to its width. So if you are a little bit worried because let's say you've worn a Metcon 4 and it was really tight, this is gonna feel a lot different. I think the last is a little bit different and a little bit wider in this model. So when it comes to size and fit, you should be good true to size on either shoe. And if you want a tiny bit more room, Nano 10. However, the Metcon 6 does a pretty good job at accommodating with that need now. All right, for all the shoe nerds out there like myself, let's talk about construction of these shoes and look at the differences from a topical point of view. So let's look at the toe box up here, right? So up here on the Nano 10, we have an extended outsole that comes up. That's awesome for durability. Then we have a similar feature over here on the Metcon 6. It is a little bit of a toe lip, but then it does stay pretty wide throughout, which is pretty good for durability. Plus, the Metcon 6 does have a little bit of a beefed up synthetic material here. Awesome for toe dragging movements and so forth. And as mentioned earlier, guys, you can see literally the difference in width here compared to the Metcon 6. So again, if you are somebody who likes some room, Nano 10, I can't stress that enough. Now making our way up to the midfoot here and the laces. So both of these shoes I think do a really good job at protecting the laces and making sure that the midfoot is durable when it comes to really providing a lot of security for the foot. The Nano 9 had that issue down here where it had like an overlap of material. Cool that the Nano 10 actually accommodated for that and put the laces inside and put them inside of this material to protect them especially. So really cool move there from Reebok when it comes to their lacing system. Now over here on the Metcon 6, we have that fly wire that runs up here on these 4 middle eyelets. That's pretty consistent in all of the Metcon models. And then also the tongue is beefed up in this model. Also cool to see because y'all know we've had some durability issues with the Metcon tongues in the past. Now, let's look at the midfoot. So both of these shoes do a really good job and accommodating, I think, for one, rope climbing, but overall durability and stability. So they have these outsole layers that do wrap up. That's awesome. So both shoes really solid when it comes to their midfoot outsole wrap on the medial and lateral side. Now, obviously there is some subtle differences when it comes to what this material is. This is more like a TPU plastic, it feels like, and then this is like a rubber. So this does have a little bit more grip. So for those S-lock rope climbers out there, the Metcon 6 may be a little bit better for you in that respect. Looking at the aesthetics of the shoe, both do a pretty good job, I think, at delivering some cool branding elements, but also making sure that they provide durability throughout. So the synthetic material here, I think, is a nice little add for durability. And then on the Nano 10, we have this extra material out here, like the synthetic leather that they put on top of that FlexWeave material. Now, outer construction. So the Metcon 6 has this mesh. You can literally see my fingers through it. Awesome for breathability. We did have a little bit of an issue with the Metcon 5 when it comes to the breathability, so that was a nice add, I think, that the Metcon 6 has. The Nano 10 has the signature flex weave, not as flexible and stretchy as the previous models, but I think it does have a nice little amount of give and security to it, so it does add a little bit of a perk for both stability and breathability. Now, making our way to the heel. As I mentioned earlier, there is a little bit of difference in height here, so this lip does come a little bit more higher on the Nano 10, and that's different from the Nano 9. I personally like it. I like having a little bit more lip back here. It doesn't cause a lot of friction and rub, and honestly, that's a big perk for me because I like to wear low socks. Now, one thing I will say is that the Metcon 6, despite being lower, did beef up some of the material back here, and I'll link to the Metcon 6 review where I do mention more on this, but limits heel slip, I think, and it provides a little bit more of an extra support in the heel region. Making our way to the heel, we have that TPU layer here in the Metcon, which has been pretty true for most of the previous models when it comes to stability. This sucker is tough and stable. Then in the Nano 10, we have that TPU layer that wraps up. Now, flipping over the shoe, looking at the outsole. Not much to the Metcon 6, to be honest. This tread is pretty great when it comes to gripping the floor. It's super stable and super grippy, and I like the overall material of it. I like these ridges here because it kind of like helps you propel forward when it comes to running and so forth. The Nano 10 has that split outsole and the Meta Split, similar to the Nano 9, and overall, I'm a fan of this design. Like, I don't know what it is, but I do think it's a little bit more reactive than just the solid outsole. Might all be placebo, might just be marketing, but dang it, Reebok, you have me sold there because I am a fan. But overall, I think those are the biggest construction points worth mentioning. I had some questions in the previous video about taking out the inslip and then what the insole looks like. If you are somebody who needs inserts and then takes out the inslip and inserts your own, the Nano 10 I think is gonna fare a little bit better. The Metcon 6, as you can see, has this bigger inslip and it does have that foam that is split. So a little bit more stable in the heel versus up here in the midfoot and forefoot. But when it comes to the bottom of the shoe, once you take out the inslip, there's really not much to it and it kind of folds and collapses. So it may not be the best for those with inserts, but the Nano 10 still has a nice level of beef in here. So really, if you are somebody who needs inserts, I would honestly err towards the Nano 10. But again, that's gonna have to come down to your personal preference of how you like the shoe to fit. Hopefully, this provided a good rundown of these two models when it comes to construction. I know not everybody cares about these details, so I save them towards the end of the video. As always, guys, like this video, subscribe to the channel. I have loved doing these shoe reviews over the last few years, especially when I was at Barbend and now on my own. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, helps and motivates me. Hey guys, as always, drop a like, drop a subscribe, and if you have any questions on these shoes, drop them down below. I will be highly active on this video and answering any questions you have. And also, I have a really bad eye infection right now in this eye, and I was gonna wear an eye patch, so try not to make fun of it too bad. The videos must go on, but damn if it's not annoying.